Well, it was all dependent on the number of tapes that came in. Initially, I was quite worried that we'd only have about maybe 50 or 100 or 200 max. And I saw it as being a large sort of installation, a bit like sort of water gushing out of a waterfall or maybe magma coming out of a volcano or something like that. And it sort of just spread across the floor. And the feedback that we've had from people is that some people find it aesthetically attractive, some people find it quite worrying and quite disturbing, and maybe that's the job of an installation like this, to get people thinking about what it is, what the substance of the stuff is that comes out of videotapes.
The intervention didn't have any particular purpose in the sense of participatory, as it's called quite often, but the fact once you open the doors of a retail space, people are going to interact, the artists have to interact, and it was very much an artist-led piece at the beginning. Locking the doors down for the Deluge meant that people could only interact through the glass. But we have been shocked by the sheer volume of people coming through to the glass. About 15 to 20 people at least an hour, every hour, day and night. It's just a continuous stream of people interacting. Some scared, some excited.
Yeah, I mean, the reaction that we've had, we've been putting the installation together over the last couple of weeks, and there's been quite a bit of interaction within that, because as the tapes are unravelling, and we've had a system where we put them onto the ceiling and they just sort of unravel down. It's quite a beautiful moment. Lots of children have been very interested in that, partly to do with the fact that we're sort of moving into forbidden territory, the idea of actually taking apart a video cassette and then sort of seeing what makes it work inside is quite fascinating. But some people have found that quite disturbing, insofar as they're not sure what the project is about. There's this kind of thing that's growing. Then, of course, we didn't know how big it would be because it was absolutely dependent on the reaction from local people. If there wasn't very much of a reaction, there would have been a very small body. As it was, there was a huge reaction. So, of course, there's now something that is approaching the concept of the Deluge.
And the reaction is beyond just the visual. It started conversations about the idea of waste, the idea of obsolescence, but not just on a street level. You know, people from the council have been here, people from the waste recycling people have been here, and they're taken by it. They're re-looking at what they do each day in a different light due to the Deluge. And the feedback we've had from emails, etc., has been quite phenomenal. How we take this forward is because we are going to take it forward, because there is a demand for this in a sense of more people want to know about it, people want to see it elsewhere, and this is what our discussion is.
Well, I think there is this idea that in some way it's a kind of spectacle, it's an event, but it's an event that relates to people's lives, because if you think about obsolescence, you think about the objects that no longer have any apparent purpose. What do you do with them? Do you just bin them? Do you put them into landfill? Or can they in some way speak to another life after the kind of death of the object, so to speak? So we're quite interested in the idea of the third life of the object, of the tape itself, in terms of it becoming something else.
So Deluge has come to an end, and we will be boxing this up. We've got half-ton bags and a series of cardboard boxes which are all going off to Bristol to be recycled. It will become, the aluminium becomes parts of greenhouses, the tape becomes insulation for puffer jackets and sleeping bags and such like. So the whole thing gets recycled completely.
I think what it does show is that when you have an event like this, it's on the street, it relates directly, there's a kind of geographic proximity in Catford, people are passing the installation, so there's been a sort of sense of people being involved, and they've risen to that kind of invitation, and you can see that just in terms of the sheer volume of tapes that have come back. And I suspect that part of that is to do with people wishing to see these tapes which have meaning for them. I mean, many people have invested lots of money into tape collections, and I think people have been quite intrigued by the idea of those tapes going back into something like an installation, and of course going back into the recycling process as well.